Greetings, everyone. Greetings, lovers of freedom. My name is M.A.P. Ezioku Bundu 1 in Biafra land. And I am passing this message to Africans all over the world, wherever you are. This message is for you. And I want you to listen and listen attentively and put it in actions. It is no longer news that Africans are scattered all over the world in search of greener pasture. It's no longer news that Africans are being treated like a trash by the Western countries. I mean by the Europeans and the Americans all over the world. It is no longer news that black Africans are being looked down, are being regarded below than animals. It is no longer news that the natural resources in Africa today are being used by the Western countries, by the Europeans and the Americans. It is no longer news that hunger and poverty have taken control of Africa, one of the richest continents around the world. It is no longer news that the people who are masterminding the crisis in Africa are the Europeans and the Americans. It is no longer news that our political leaders have submitted themselves as a willing tools for the Europeans and the Americans to be used to marginalize Africans at large. It is no longer news that Africans has no say before the world. Now, I want you as an African youth, as an African person who loves freedom, who wants to be free, who is thirsty of freedom, who is hungry of freedom, to ask yourself this simple question. If what is happening in Africa today is happening in Europe, what do you think that the European youth will do? And I want to ask you the same question again. If what is happening in Africa today is happening in America, what do you think that American youth will do? Are they going to fold their arms and watch their people being killed, perish on a daily basis? The answer me and you know is no, is the answer. They will rise up. Now I am calling on every African youth, wherever you are residing around the world. I am calling upon you and tell you that the hour is now for us to rise up and demand for our freedom, for us to demand for the total control of our natural resources, for us to demand for the evacuation, for the Europeans and the Americans to vacate our land with immediate effect. Now, some of you will ask, can we achieve this? And I will answer you. The answer is 2. Yes, we can achieve it. It is very simple and also it is very difficult. For us to achieve this as an African continent we must first of all put our religious difference away. We must come together as one continent, one entity. We must put love and unity first. And I must tell you, for us to achieve this, we must rise against every evil political leaders, those the Western are using, those that have put themselves as a willing tool for the West and the Americans to be using them to put us in abject poverty. We must rise against them. On this note, I am calling on every African military. If you are a young African military, you love freedom. If you are in a soldier, you are a force man, be you whatever it is called in your country, whether police, navy, or anything you call yourself, and you love freedom. You want to see your people live life that like the Europeans, like the Americans. The time for you people to rise up to take control in charge of our countries is now. The time for you people to stand masses is now. And I am calling the youth, especially, if the American youth cannot fold their hands and watch their people being slaughtered on a daily basis, if the Europeans cannot fold their hands and watch their people to be slaughtered on a daily basis, how can we fold our hands and watch the same Europeans and Americans slaughter our people on a daily basis? The time for us to come together and rise against the Europeans is now. We must form a formidable force with the motive of taking away the Europeans and America out of our continent. If Martin King Luther Jr. can fight for the black Americans and they liberate them, and today the black Americans have their voice in America, they have say that paved way for people like Barack Obama to become the president of America. We the African, we the black African can do so by rising up. We can organize a protest all over the world to chase these people out of our land. If they want to come to our land, they must follow the due procedure, which they lay down that we the Africans are following before we can enter their land. We must stop them from slaughtering our people using our politicians to achieve their aims. They use divide and rule, divide and conquer to penetrate us. We must close door for every divide and rule and divide and conquer from the Europeans and the Americans. We must know that Africans are one. We must put that mentality that we are one on us before we can achieve this. And I want us, the youth, to come together. I want to be seeing the youth, African youth all over in Europe, to organize a massive protest against them, against the Europeans and against the bad governance in Africa. We must organize a massive protest against the interference of the Europeans in Africa. They brought us a fake democracy, which is not helping issue. Ask yourself, why are they invading Niger Republic? Why are they trying to put a war in Niger? Because Niger have risen up for their selfish interests, to stop the selfish interests of the West. That's why they want to put Niger down again. I want every African youth to rise up at this point of time. We must say no to the Western colony. We must say no to the American colony. We must say no to French, Germany, Italy, England, Britain colony in Africa. Let us have our own way. The time for every African youth to rise up and hit the ground. We have said enough. Enough is enough. We have risen up on social media, but the time for us to come together physically and take the bull by the horn is now. If the Europeans cannot fold their hands, we must not fold our hands. Our military alone cannot achieve this freedom. We must rise up for the military to back us. And I am calling on the militaries to stop allowing themselves to be used to slaughter their citizens. You can't be killing your citizens. As a soldier man, you sworn an oath to protect your people. Why do you allow the Western people to use you to kill your own people? It is not done anywhere. It is not done. I am calling you to rise up to protect your people. And I am calling on the youth to rise up. We must take away the evil leaders in our land. We must take them out for us to achieve this. And I am expecting the protest all over the world to start. I am out for this. I volunteer myself. And we must achieve this. We have to pay the price now to liberate our people. Let every African people start preaching to their people the reasons they need to rise up to achieve this. This is all I have to tell us. Let us rise now and stop this division. It's no longer news that the dying, the killing, and the suffering of our people are being masterminded by the Europeans and the Americans. And we are the people to stop it. And we must do it now. Let us rise up, Africa. Thank you. I remain blessed. I remain my humble self. MAP Ezioku Bundu. Let us connect ourselves and bring the network to ourselves. Thank you. All must hail Biafra. All must hail Africa. Rise, Africa.